Welcome to Topographic Maps. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to interpret topographic maps and possibly be able to create one. So topographic maps show topography in an area or the surface features that you can see in that area. They provide very accurate information on the elevation, relief, and slope. Elevation is just the height above sea level. Relief is that difference in elevation between the highest and lowest part in that area. And then the steepness of the land is the slope. So we have a topographic map up here showing an area that has something probably like a hill. You've got steep sides on one side, gentle slope on the other. Topographic maps are even being made today. My dad recently built a house in Green, and he built it into the side of a hill. And before they could build the house, they had to have a topographic map made showing how the land and the ground was going to be moved so that they would have a spot on that hillside to build their house. So contour lines are what you're seeing as these strange lines on the topographic map. They connect points of equal elevation. So if we look at this map, we have the number 70 here in kind of this oval shape. Anywhere along that oval shape, that line that you see with the 70 tells us that those are all the points that are exactly 70 feet above sea level. And the contour interval is the elevation difference between the contour lines. So we have the number 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70. So that tells us the contour interval is 10. It's going up by 10 each time. Now we look down here to get more information. We know that the units are feet. So that's 10 feet for every line that you're seeing. So if I find a point along this line here that says 50, I know that those are all points that have exactly 50 feet above sea level for the elevation. What happens if I find a spot in between the 50 and 60? Well, we know the point in between there has to be greater than 50 feet and less than 60 feet. So it might be 51 feet, it might be 59.7 feet. We don't know for sure, but it has to be between the 50 and the 60. Sometimes we call topographic maps contour maps because of all of these contour lines and contour intervals. Here's a 3D representation and then the contour map that was created from it. We don't know if this is a hill or a mountain because we don't know what the units are, if it's inches, feet, meters, what the actual unit of measure is. That would determine whether this was a hill or a mountain. So each of these slices that you see on the, we'll call it a hill, were traced and created this contour map or topographic map. So here we have the three-dimensional surface of an area, and then here's the topographic map that was created from it up above. So we have these layers of this, we'll call it a hill. The first layer, they have that almost like taken out, laid down, and traced. Then they have the second layer, and they trace that. Obviously, it's a little smaller than the first one, so it's inside there. And then the third one, and it gets traced. And that's how we create the topographic map from the three-dimensional objects, almost like there's little slices to it. And each of those slices, when we trace it, creates the contour line. So this slice, if we look at this line here that we're going to trace up here, it's showing all the elevation on that hill that's exactly that same height. So take a minute to look at these two pictures here, the steep slope and the gentle slope. I want you to think about how they're similar and how they're different. Go ahead and pause the video. Hopefully you said that these both have the same scale. They both are cut into slices or layers. They both have the topographic map above them. They have lines. They both start with the 1,440 feet for their outermost line. Some differences. The steep slope is much higher than the gentle slope. The gentle slope has fewer contour lines than the steeper slope. The steep slope, we want to focus on just that one for a second. Notice this side of the steep slope. Obviously, this is the steeper side of the steep slope. This is a more gentle side. Take a look at the picture of the topographic map that was created. The steep slope has the lines being much closer together. The gentle slope has those lines being more spaced. There's more area in between them, telling us that the change in elevation happens over a longer distance. With the steep slope, that change in elevation happens over a shorter distance. So from that, we know that the closely spaced contour lines mean steeper slopes, and the widely spaced contour lines mean gentle slopes. So we've got side A and side B here of a mountain. Let's pretend that you're a decent skier. You ski once or twice a year and you're on vacation having fun. Would you ski down A or B? Now, let's say you're training for the Olympics. You ski hours and hours every day for the last 7 years, getting ready to try out for the Olympic team. Would you ski down A or B? A is much steeper. Side B has a much more gentle slope. Take a look at the symbols that are used on the topographic maps. Please try to figure out what this one would be. This one here, this one, and this one. Go ahead and pause the video. Hopefully you said that this looks like a school. This one looks like railroad tracks. This looks like an airport, and this would be a river. I want to also point out the contour lines. We already know that this shows elevation, meaning we're going up above sea level. But sometimes contour maps show how we go down into areas below sea level. So it looks very similar to the elevation. The only difference is there's these little tick marks on the inside of each of those contour lines.